All right, this is what we'll be carving today. Just a little penguin out of basswood, a little 1x1 penguin. And you can see it's pretty basic, but anyone can do this, and you can put your own spin on it and make them just how you want. So I hope you really enjoy. Okay, today we are carving a penguin, and you can see it here. I got it just roughly laid out. Pretty simple design, but without further ado, let's get into it. Let's cut out where the feet are going to go. And I have a crowd of onlookers, as you can see. Every once in a while I bring some of these down from the shelf, just because I like to look at them when I'm carving. Some of my previous projects. It's certainly not all of them, but it is a few of them. So anyway, let's cut this away from the feet so that we have a pedestal to stand on. And this is a 1x1x6 piece of basswood. Let's try and clean this up a little bit, okay? Now let's carve away where the head is going to be. And these penguins have a pretty rounded head, so that's what we'll do. We'll kind of make it a round head. Take away these corners here, and we can actually do a V cut right here, and that'll show where the neckline is. And we can kind of carve into that, and then of course the back of the neck as well. Okay, something like this. Okay, and now we just want to start taking material out. Shave off these. Like I said before, it's a pretty rounded head on these penguins, and kind of a small head in proportion to its body. And we're going to have him be a little bit chubby. Have his stomach sticking out a little bit. Okay. Keep taking this back a little bit by little bit. And start rounding this head in a little bit. Okay. Now let's get rid of these sharp corners. And define where the back of the penguin's going to be, somewhere back here. Okay. Now we have this thing kind of roughed out. Then we're going to want to take the whole snout back a little bit. Have it kind of come to a point which will be the beak. Now the beak is going to be kind of small in proportion to the head. So what we'll want to do is get everything kind of coming to a point here. Work it in like this, And then once we get to a certain point, we're going to start defining this beak, okay, by making little diagonal cuts like this. And we'll just make sure they're deep enough so we can sort of show the beak. Okay. And then we're going to keep rounding the top of the head and the sides of the head. Keep rounding it back, rounding the front and the back and the sides. Keep working on it as we go. And we're going to take this back even a little bit farther. Okay, that is starting to look more and more bird-like. And then we're going to start taking some off of the front of this guy, sort of rounding that belly. We'll take the top of the face back a little bit more. You just have to keep working it until we like how it looks. Okay. Then round over the top of the head. Okay, it's getting pretty good there. A little bit more cutting on the top of the head here. Keep pulling it back. We will revisit that. Okay, now let's get rid of these sharp points. And then what we're going to want to do is get these wings, or flippers, whatever you want to call them. These penguins are flightless birds, however, I think they're still called wings. Let's do a little cut like that, and then take the material away from the side of it, cut in diagonally, and that will define it. Hopefully I'm not getting out of the focus, and if I have been, I apologize. Okay, there's one flipper slash wing. Let's do exactly the same thing on the other side. Okay. Then we'll cut this one out. A little bit more here. Okay, that's starting to look like a penguin. Now, he doesn't need this big of a chest. He doesn't need to be this buff. So we'll take that back a little bit. And then this bottom part here needs to be sort of taken down a bit as well, and then tapered inward. And we are going to define some feet here, but we got to have this stomach tapered. Okay. That is looking fairly penguin-like. And you can carve up his back if you want. You know, remove some of this raw material here. It's up to you. And then I like to take off this raw material on top of the head because it tends to paint a little bit different. It tends to absorb the paint a little bit more, and it looks a little bit different. So when I paint it, I want it all to paint the same all the way around. We'll get to more of that later, but for now, let's just cut around the wings a little bit so that the wings are more defined. We'll keep doing that until we like it. Okay, I think let's do a little bit more on this beak here. Let's cut this beak back slightly more so that it's a little bit more prominent. Okay. On all the angles. Okay, that's not terrible. Now, we're going to do his feet. But before we do that, let's cut this out and the back. Okay. Something like that. We'll clean up the back there later. So now we need to get to the last bit, which is the feet. Okay. You notice how I'm kind of always refining it as I go, because there's always areas that can be taken down a little bit more. Okay. And that's up to you how detailed you want to get, or how much you want to like clean it up or whatever. That is entirely up to you. Okay, let's do the feet, and then after that we'll probably cut off the top of the head, but I won't show that. So, I mean, cut off the top of the head where all this raw material is. Okay, so I like to make their feet kind of simple, always simple, because again, it doesn't really, they don't really feature that heavily. You can put a little bit of a flipper like V cut, I guess it would be called, if you want. But for the most part, you just need to define some feet. Okay, oops. Clean this up a little bit. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. I should probably clean this up a little bit more, make it a little more prominent, as I said. Okay, whatever. Now the other foot, make sure they're spaced slightly. And once again, just cut them out. I never put a lot of emphasis on the feet. Because they are not, in my mind, they're not the most important thing. Just got to show some feet of some kind. Okay. And there you have it, a penguin. That'll do. Okay, thanks for watching.